Hey everyone. In this video, I want to go over just some basics of the comparison contrast paper, a few thoughts about how to think about organizing, writing, revising this paper, general writing process sort of things. First of all, I want to encourage you to check out the paper prompt document on Canvas. That will include a lot of very important information, but most importantly is that these two topic questions that you can potentially answer in your paper. So the first one says that both Frederick Douglass's narrative and Octavia Butler's Kindred are examples of the slave narrative. In what ways are they similar as slave narratives, and or in what ways are they different? What accounts for their similarities and differences? The second prompt is asking, how is Dana's fictional perspective as a black woman from the 1970s similar and or different compared to Douglass's non-fictional perspective as a black man in the 1800s? What are the benefits and or limitations of each point of view? So these are questions to get you thinking, topics about which I want you to think about and write. These are not thesis statements, you'll notice. So your job is to take these topics, take these questions, and figure out how you can make one single unified thesis statement that responds to these topics and these kind of questions. Again, you choose just one of these two prompts. So I also share some requirements in that document, the first of which is that the paper should be 1,600 to 1,800 words long. It should be in MLA formatting. If you have questions about that, I can post a document. We'll do more about formatting later this semester, though, including a works cited page listing both books. It should employ comparison contrast writing and organizational techniques. It should show an understanding of the historical time periods, because that is something that we discussed a little bit over the last several weeks. And it should use your close reading skills, so those things that we talked about in the close reading video, those tools that we considered, the questions that we answered, those kind of ways of thinking, the ability to use examples from the text and then analyze them, that's going to be a major part of this paper as well. So also just to highlight a few of these things in specific. So for contrast and comparison writing techniques, the first major thing to remember is to consider how you can use the ideas shared during our critical comparisons lesson. And remember from that lesson that we're interested in not just how things are different or similar, but also why they are different and why those differences matter. The other piece is to remember that you have two major ways to organize a comparison contrast paper, as outlined in the textbook reading from this week, and in this assignment I will be looking for you to employ one or the other. So we're going to go over each of those now. So the first organizational technique, or actually I'll go over both of them. In both of them you have obviously two texts that you are comparing, and if you will come up with, your job is to think of a few topics, a few areas in which to compare them. So one organizational technique is examining all of the topics as they apply to one book, Kindred, and then examining all of the topics as they apply to Douglass's narrative. So here you'll see that we have, narrative as our first book, the first section. Then we'll have a paragraph exploring topic A in the narrative. We'll have a paragraph exploring topic B in the narrative. And then we'll move to Kindred. And once again, we'll have a paragraph exploring topic A and a paragraph exploring topic B. The second organizational technique is to do kind of the reverse, to introduce each topic, then examine that topic in each text before moving on to the next topic. So in this one, you'd have a section about topic A, then you'd have a paragraph in about the narrative, a paragraph about Kindred, then moving to topic B, paragraph about narrative, paragraph about kindred. In terms of paragraph division, this paper needs to have at least 4 body paragraphs, if not more. I actually think that, having a short paragraph introducing, say, topic A, and then narrative kindred for that, a short paragraph introducing topic B, narrative kindred, that would work really, really well. Because you don't want to, you want to assume that your reader has read the book. That's usually a good assumption when you're writing literature papers, but the way that I like to think about it is pretend that your reader has read the book that you're writing about, but it's been maybe 2 or 3 years. So they know the book, but they don't remember every single little detail. It might take them a while to remember everything. So a very quick little reminder to say, hey, yeah, you remember this part. You remember this important detail. You really need to remember it for you to be able to get my paper. That can be very helpful. So the other thing I want to say is that you want to read the rubric at least twice during the writing process. I've included a much more extensive rubric for this paper than I did for the last one, because in the last paper I was getting to know you as writers, and now that I know you, and now that we've had more time together to talk about writing and think about writing, I'm able to give more specific rubrics to guide how I am going to be approaching the second paper assignment. So, first of all, you want to check out the rubric on Canvas before you start outlining and writing your paper. That way you will know everything that you need to know to make sure that you do it in your paper. But you also want to read the rubric after you finish your draft and before you start revision. I recommend to students that they self-grade themselves based on the descriptions in each category. I've got point values and I've got a little description of what a paper that earns those points would look like. And so you're able to read those descriptions and think, where does my paper fit in this rubric? And then remember that a good revision is willing to change the organization or order of paragraphs, is willing to delete and rewrite entire paragraphs, and goes far beyond simple proofreading. I gave everyone who made at least some of the suggested changes in their revisions full points for those revisions after the first paper. But if this had been an in-person class and we had had time to do the revisions together in class, I would have expected much more radical revisions than I had seen in some papers. And don't say that to, shame you or say that you did anything wrong in the last paper. I say that because in this coming paper, to be able to have the best possible paper you can have, you're going to have to be willing to make some really big changes before your first draft and before you turn in the final product of your paper, because there won't be a revision process here. We're doing peer reviews instead. So you're going to have to make all those decisions before you turn the paper into me, what you want to radically change, before you have me evaluate your paper. So I'm trying to think if there is one more slide here, and that's the deadline. So the deadlines for this paper, this coming Sunday, you will turn in the first 600 to 800 words of your paper, and that's going to be shared for peer review. So please make sure to have everything to me by Sunday. If you do not have your paper into me by Sunday for peer review, you cannot get points for the peer review process, and you also don't get to benefit from the feedback that you get from your peers during the peer review process. So turn it in to me by Sunday night, because on Monday I am going to be sorting through all of these papers and sending them off to all the different group members so that you can start doing your peer revisions. So make sure to have all of that into me so that you can be put into a group and you can be part of this peer review process and get points for that. By Wednesday, and that's going to be a weekly assignment, by the way. Oops. I have a puppy on my keyboard. I don't know if you saw him crawl onto my lap earlier. By Wednesday, you will complete peer reviews for all 3 of your group members. And I am going to share details and suggestions for that experience in next week's lecture video. And then lastly, Sunday, November 11th is when you will turn in your final paper too. So that's everything. I hope that this was helpful to you, that you have some ideas what we're going to be working on for the next couple of weeks here. So check out all of those documents I mentioned. Email me if you have questions, and I'm really looking forward to working with you on the second major paper. Thanks, everyone. Bye.